acknowledge all the kindnesses that Rotary does, service above self. It's more important now than ever. You all know that, we all know that. The kindness campaign's different. We're not a direct service organization. We're basically what you might call in the cultural change business. We want to make kindness more prominent in people's thinkings, and as they think more about kindness, they act more with kindness. We're doing that in two ways now. I'll give an example of each. One, we're messaging kindness in a systematic way, cooperating with the NAACP, Peace Health, and the Eugene Chamber of Commerce. And we are also doing a lot of work to activate the faith communities in a systematic way to assist with the unhoused. So let me start with how we're supporting organizations in working with the unhoused. On June 5th, our campaign convened the second meeting of the Eugene Religious Community Information Exchange. And how it got that name is a long story with a lot of negotiations, so I won't take time to do that. But believe me, bringing all the faith groups together in the community was challenging, and it's never happened before where all the faith groups have come together and had a conversation on a regular scheduled basis with city and county government. And the meeting we held on June 5th focused on the unhoused that allowed this conversation to take place. So the campaign, in collaboration with Eugene Mayor Lucy Vennis, Saari Johnson, who's the city and council lead on serving the unhoused, and over a dozen faith leaders, came up with a number of very specific suggestions for how congregations can support the unhoused and the unsheltered in these very difficult times. And actually, there are also ways that Rotarians can be supportive as well. The mayor was exceedingly grateful for the offer of help from the congregations and had been trying to figure out how to reach out to them in an encompassing way. So we feel the kindness campaign, by creating this structure, this Eugene Religious Community Information Exchange, we now have an ongoing way for religious people and government people to meet every 3 months and talk about what they feel is important for the community. In terms of the unhoused, here's a short summary of the challenge we're facing. As of March 2020, we had 4,120 total people unhoused. 453 were in emergency shelters, 344 in alternative shelters, and 3,323 were unsheltered. Over the last 12 months, there were 5,700 different people served because they were homeless. About 80% of the homeless in Lane County lost housing while living here and chose to remain in their home community. Multiple studies have shown that the major cause of homelessness is the gap between income and the increasing rents and increasing evictions we're seeing and stagnant wages. So in Lane County, the average wage is $12.97 an hour, and to afford a 2-bedroom apartment, you need to be making $17.10 an hour. So this gap will probably be aggravated, undoubtedly, when the expiration occurs of the eviction restraint. And on June 5th, some of the shelters that were available were closed, put 200 additional people on the streets. Because the rent moratorium ending, actually the city's estimating that the unhoused will increase by 25 to 45%. And because of social distancing, because of COVID, the community's lost 248 beds at the Mission and at Dusk to Dawn. So what we're looking at is what can be done in the short run, and the purpose of the meeting with the faith communities is what they can do to help. And what's become clear in the short run, we're probably going to need to use car camping and tent camping. So for example, the memorial building in Springfield was used as a building site for the unhoused, and the cost per person per night was $180. In contrast, when you do tent and car camping and it's managed carefully and well, the cost is about $35 per person per night. So here are 3 specific things that congregations and some of them Rotarians can do, some only congregations can do. The first one only congregations to do, that's provide space. we'll take 6 tents or we'll take 12 tents on our church property. As an example of the benefit of the meeting, Ben Cross at First Baptist offered to take more than 6 tents because they have more space. I was not aware there's a city ordinance that a single piece of land cannot take more than 6 tents. They're willing to take multiple tents, car camps, and in fact, the mayor last Monday was going to the city council to ask for a variance to allow church groups and other groups to take more people into tents. The second way to help is to fund to support these camps that need to be created on church properties and on other places. And a third way is to volunteer. We also talked about the need for alternative to police involvement when dealing with the unhoused. It's not humane or cost effective for police to deal with mental health problems. So I think we all know about Cahoots. In recent weeks, it has gained national and international attention because it brings mental health professionals to deal with mental health problems rather than police, and often ending up with, or sometimes ending up with incarceration, which benefits no one. One of the things the campaign will be offering is training for congregation members and the public on how to know when to call the police, when to call Cahoots, or when things are maybe uncomfortable, but you don't need to bring any authority in. So the second example is how we're doing messaging. And so I'm going to hopefully do screen sharing here and show you what I want to do. Can everybody see the poster on my screen? Okay. So this poster is Choose Kindness in an Unjust World. And at the bottom, you'll notice it has the logo of the NAACP, Peace Health, which is probably, or along with the University of Oregon, the largest employer in Lane County, Eugene Chamber of Commerce, and the campaign logo. So Peace Health, for example, has 2 plans. They're going to distribute it internally to their hospitals and their clinics, but they're also going to have a separate plan to distribute it to all of their partners in health. We're also in conversation with the Oregon Medical Group to see if they want to become involved in this effort. The idea of the posters is that we want people throughout the community to have kindness on their mind. And one way to do that is to remind them of the ways to be kind. And that's the purpose of the poster. Show appreciation, reach out to those in need, offer help, and be friendly. As we see the increase in unhoused, we're going to see general increase in stress because there's also going to be greater economic problems as we see budget shortfalls and businesses that don't reopen. And in small ways every day, we can soften the harshness that's going to be around us by these small acts of kindness. They do matter, they're small, and they do matter. So one of the ways we use this poster is in our pitch to the county commissioners. I spoke to the county commissioners on the 9th, and here's the kind of a condensation of my remarks. We are headed into an even more difficult time, not just for the unhoused, but for most of our citizens. A time in which the need will dramatically outstrip our financial resources. That's the point of the poster. We're also in conversation with 4J and the School of Eugene about adding their logos as well. NAACP is supporting the poster because it is a statement about the need to confront racism by following Dr. King's recommendation that only love can overcome hate. The campaign is forcefully requesting the county's logo be added to the poster and that it be distributed widely within county government and programs, end quote. So I see a role for Rotary in this as well, in the sense that we have a work group in the campaign for Rotary. Glenn's on it, Susie, Linda, and Kathy Poole, those of you who know Kathy. And one of the things we're going to be looking into is a poster that would have the names of the Rotary clubs who are interested. Would not need to have the Rotary logo, although I think Glenn has permission for Southtown to do a poster with the logo. So we're going to do refrigerator-sized posters, window clings, and just as you see our Choose Kindness signs around town as a reminder, we also would like to start seeing these posters around and in our homes. So what I'd like to do is a discussion of how Rotary might contribute in this messaging of kindness as a way of contributing to the direction we take as we come out of the pandemic. So I've got, some ideas. One I've already mentioned, and that is just ways to keep in mind using the poster: show appreciation, reach out to those in need, offer help, and be friendly. At clubs, you can do kind and happy dollars. When you talk about your projects, you can talk about your kindness project reports. Make kindness a topic of your conversations. Call out kindness when you see it. Small ways to make it more prominent in how we live, how we think, what we say, and what we do. So Linda has been involved as a Rotarian in both some of the messaging and in some of the organizational activities. So I'm going to let her describe that, and then we can have that discussion.
Okay, well, we've been trying to do lots of kindness, and Amazing Camille had the idea that it would be so nice to,
You can hold it up.
yeah, to have a little sign, a little card, basically go out with our food boxes that talked about, we're thinking about you during this tough time, and then on the other side is choose kindness. So just a little reminder, just to think people are going through such hard times, but this is also what we want them to also be thinking about, choose kindness. And then it was really sweet because Kathy did a great job of translating it. So, it's like estamos pasando aquí durante las, these hard times, and then select or choose kindness when you can. So that's been one thing that we've been trying to do, just to keep that out in people's minds. And another thing you may be aware of, we've done a lot of work with the Head Starts, where we've given books and kindness activities. We've done that. We've gone around, a bunch of you have participated in that. It's been very fun. So that will probably continue once Head Start and gatherings continue in the fall or whenever. And we also hope that by that point, there's this group of boys at Fairfield Elementary that came up with a great project. They wanted to do a kindness project on their own when the principal was saying, hey, let's have some ideas for some things we can do. And they wanted to do it at the end of the year and had all these plans, but that didn't work out. So they're going to start it in the fall, where they're going to support their friends doing kindness activities. And it's going to be kind of verified. We don't know all the details yet. It'll be worked out whenever school gets back on track again, but they'll have these kindness bracelets. And the idea of the kindness bracelet that was started actually in Canada was that the kids wear it on the right hand, and once they've done a kindness activity for the day, they get to pass it over to their left hand. So they're constantly thinking about doing it on a daily basis. So we'll keep you posted on what happens in the fall for that too. So lots of nice things going on with our Rotary. And Doug, let me just clarify one thing. Go ahead. You said you're going to have refrigerator signs, but they're not the size of refrigerators, right? I just want to make sure. Just to be on the refrigerator, kind of like our cards.
We're working on miniature versions of the poster for window clings and for refrigerators.
Doug, can I add to the meeting that's coming up with the Interact students and how how they're wanting to contribute to especially support the homeless kids of their generation, and just the statistics related to depression among teenagers across the board, and those kids wanting to help in that regard. And that conversation is happening Monday with the Interact.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting, because As a society, our greatest opportunity to change the direction of our culture is working in schools. And the reason is we have access to young people for 13 years, 9 months out of the year. And there's little doubt in my mind that if kindness and caring are cultivated across a 13-year period, we're going to have a very different society at the end. Making that happen will be very challenging. We're currently working with the National Center on Positive Behaviors, Interventions, and Supports about expanding the work they do to include a focus on kindness. And they work with 26,000 schools around the United States. So that's our primary target for large-scale dissemination. And we've just created a number of resources, and that can also be part of our discussion on Monday. There are very specific examples of ways youth can be kind by reaching out to those in need, the kids who are excluded in this time, especially kids of color who are excluded. But offering help, being friendly, show appreciation, and reach out to those in need. Those 4 things alone, they sound small, but they're not. And in aggregate, they can really change the tenor of a school. And we're working with some amazing educators, Tom Maloney, who's a well-known retired principal from 4J, and Stan Payne, who was a National School Administrator of the Year, who works in our Springfield schools. So working with youth on a systematic way across the span of the grades is, in one sense, taking the long view, I think the most important thing we can do. And actually, we started some work with Everyone Belongs, where we were providing funding to schools that Rotary would work with. And of course, Everyone Belongs implies be friendly, show appreciation, offer help, and reach out with kindness. That program, along with everything else, ended with the pandemic, but it would be good to see that starting up again in the fall. So,
Doug,
yes.
I was thinking too, a discussion of kindness and perhaps having the cards, maybe the rubber bands when we meet with our OBOB students.
Yeah.
We can include that in our OBOB conversation.
Yeah.
Certainly we need a lot more discussion about kindness in our OBOB groups. I know that.
Yes.
That's actually a great idea.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's something we can definitely do.
Yeah.
So super.
Yeah.
Thank you.